All right, so welcome to part two of our sales call conversation. And today we're really going to be focusing on the objections part, right? So last time on the call, we got to the point of the objections and we really talked about, sales conversations as being an opportunity to grow ourselves as leaders, right? To really take a stand for what we believe in, to hold the space for somebody else to step into their vision, for what they want for their life, right? And we, touched a little bit on objections, but the purpose today is to really go deeper into objections and then to give you a chance to role play, to practice, to bring up scenarios that you've encountered before or that you perceive encountering, and we can address those. Again, I do not proclaim to be an expert on sales. I have had success with sales, and I find sales conversations to be uplifting. I find them to fill me up with energy rather than drain me. I look forward to them, and so I want that for you too. And I've also, studied a lot and learned a lot along the way. And so I'll be sharing with you, what I've learned as well. And, this is all a journey. We're always learning. We're always improving. And we can, this is a safe space for you to bring your challenges and your fears and insecurities, right? Because we all have them, especially when it comes to sales. And a lot of us come from the belief that we're trying to convince somebody of something, right? That we're trying to sell ourselves and that we have to convince this person that they need what we have, so that they can give us money and that we can survive, right? And that's the wrong way to look at it. That is not what we are here to do. A sales conversation is merely an opportunity for two people to engage in a conversation. And the idea is that one person, which is you, brings the expertise to the conversation, right? You have a solution and they bring their problem, right? So now you have problem solution, and then it's just, okay, if it feels like a fit to both parties, then you take the next step, right? And that is them hiring you to work with them, and in exchange of money, and then you provide the service, right? So that's really what the sales conversation is. It's an opportunity for you to help transform somebody's life by them saying yes to what they say matters most to them, right? Their deepest challenges, the things that, they wouldn't be coming on a sales conversation call with you if some part of them wasn't ready, if they didn't feel like they wanted a change, if they didn't feel like, they needed support, right? And so if they're showing up and they're saying, on some level, they're saying, okay, I'm here, I'm ready for a change, I need support, and I think you could be that person to help me, right? Otherwise, why would they waste their time on a call with you? Then the only other thing is to see, okay, is it a good fit? And if it is, then it's the objections, right? It's any of the gremlins that might be getting in the way of them actually saying yes to themselves. It's not about them saying yes to you. It's about them saying yes to themselves. And we touched on this a little bit in the first call, but it's really about breaking an old pattern, right? So they have a story that they're repeating and telling themselves over and over again. And this is an opportunity to break a pattern that is, that has not been serving them. That has not been serving them to really solve this problem that they have, or solve any other problems that they have had in the past or may have in the future, right? So if they keep doing the same thing and they keep falling into the same pattern, they're going to keep getting the same result, which is not working for them. So you get an opportunity to interrupt that pattern by having a sales conversation with them and taking a stand for what's possible for them and inviting them in to take a stand for themselves as well. Okay, so that's really the heart of what a sales conversation is. When we can shift out of it's all about me, and I'm afraid they might reject me, and I don't feel like what I have is good enough. Or, you know, when we start letting our own gremlins and our own ego run the show, when we start letting that take over, then we're doing a disservice to our potential client. We're doing a disservice to our business. We're doing a disservice to our mission in the world, right? And we're doing a disservice to our abundance that we're allowing into our lives because we're closing ourselves off. And so it's time to just recognize how we are showing up, how we are functioning. You know, when we go into a sales conversation, what are we bringing with us? And what do we need to check at the door, right? Are we bringing in preconceived ideas that we're not good enough, that our program isn't good enough, that who am I, you know, to think I can change this person's life or make a difference? That there's an idea about their limitations, you know, who they are, or their resourcefulness, if they can afford it, if they have enough time, if it's the right thing for them. That's none of our business, really. You know, that is their business. And all our job is to come into it holding the space for them to have a breakthrough, for them to have a transformation in their life. And they're already saying they want that. So we get to hold the space for that. We get to hold the vision for them and with them, right? And we get to be unwavering in our commitment of them having that, even when the gremlins show up, because they will, right? They will. Anytime we're on the verge of making a big change, making a financial commitment, a substantial financial commitment, anytime we're ready to, on the verge of stepping out of our comfort zone, right? When we're stretching ourselves out of our comfort zone, it's uncomfortable. It doesn't feel good. And we want to run. Our natural instinct is to run away. So your job, our job, right, as the person who holds the solution to their problem, is to help see them in a light that holds them naturally creative, resourceful, and whole, right? There's nothing wrong with them. There's nothing to fix about them. They have answers for their life. They are resourceful, right? If they're committed to having the result they say they want, then they will find a way to have it. And that's the place to stand. That's it. When we start going into their story and following their story, we're giving away our own power as a leader, and we're buying into their disempowerment. And that's not serving anyone. So, okay. So I want you guys to just check in for a moment, you know, just kind of take a deep breath. If you can close your eyes, do that. If you can't, that's okay. Do it, you know, when you can, but just tune in right now. And I want you to connect to your heart and connect to that part of you that is here to serve. That you know that your purpose is to serve and make a difference for people. And connect to the way you do that. So if it's, you know, whatever that passion is for you, right? Whether it's through health, through healing, through empowerment, you know, whatever that way is that you serve, and that the outcome that your clients can expect from working with you, right? From buying your product, from trying your service, from working with you directly, you know, what is that outcome they can expect? And I want you to really connect to that commitment that you have to that. Connect to the reason why it matters to you to really make a difference. Why you do what you do in the first place. Why does it even matter? And I want you to connect, put your hand on your heart and connect to that part of you that is run by your heart-driven mission, right, to serve. And then I want you to picture in your mind either a past client, a present client, or a future client. Picture in your mind you having a conversation with that person. I want you to picture yourself serving them deeply. taking a stand for them, holding them up in the light, holding a mirror for them to see who they truly are and to see what's possible for themselves in their life. Picture yourself just deeply connecting with this person and making an impact in their life and how they feel, how they look, and what's different in their life as a result of them being impacted by you, by connecting with you. What's different in their life now? And just breathe that in. The truth is that you do make an impact and that people need you. They need what you have. Really feel into that and just expand that experience of connection, of impact, of gratitude for getting to do what you love and make an impact, for getting to serve people and transform their lives. And this is the place I want you to start from. Here is where I want you to access before you get into a sales conversation. Get connected to your heart. Get connected to your potential client. Get connected to the impact that's possible when you collaborate, when you co-create. And just taking in a couple more deep breaths. And then coming back. This is the place I want you to enter a sales conversation from. Okay, heart-centered, knowing the impact and connected already to your prospective client. Okay. Okay. So let's talk about objections. Where we left off last time was that you were on a call, you took them through the process of helping them, of looking at their pain. What was their problem? What was their pain? Helping them sit in that pain for a while, being with them in that pain. Okay. Then you were looking at what their vision was and helping them massage out their vision to see where they wanted to go and getting really specific about it, right? So that they could actually see it. And then looking at, closing the gap and possible solutions to their problem, right? So you're not actually solving their problem on the call. You're just brainstorming possible solutions to the problem, right? And then when they hire you, that's when you actually work on solving the problems, okay? So all you're doing is both identifying together that they have a problem, that there's a solution, and then you can help them with that, right? And once they clearly see that, the next step is for them to commit to taking action, right? And that's where it can get scary for people. And, by taking action, it means they've got to commit to put time into doing the work. They have to put money into paying for the service. They have to energetically align themselves with the reality that a change is going to come, right? And we like comfort so much, right? We're so used to being in our patterns and we like comfort, even if it's not serving us. And so we'll do whatever we can to hold on to that. So when change is coming, it feels scary, right? It feels scary and our gremlins resist. So in the sales conversation, we're here to help people move through the discomfort, to help people move through the gremlin talk and through the challenges so that they can commit to taking action today, right now, before they get off the phone, okay? That's where the rubber hits the road. That's as soon as they say yes and commit on that level, change already starts. The coaching has already started, right? The relationship has started, and the transformation has begun for them. Because in that moment of decision, it's a life-changing moment for them. It's saying yes to something that feels scary to them, right? So it's not only an opportunity for you to transform yourself and step up as a leader, it's an opportunity for them to transform themselves and begin acting in a new way that's going to serve them. Okay? So you have to be brave, and you have to be willing to stand strong even when they're not. Okay? So that's what we're doing. Objections really have nothing to do with you. Okay? Don't take it personal. Objections are basically, this is the place where somebody has stopped in their own personal growth, in their own personal development. It's a reflection of themselves. That's all it is. So you get to be a mirror, you get to be a beacon of light and reflect back to them and help move them through the place where they're stuck. So you, in order to do that, you need to stay committed to their vision, and you need to stay committed to their desires, right? Like what is the things that they said that they really want for themselves, that they have shared with you on the call, you have to be committed to that and hold that stake in the ground for them throughout the call, okay? All right, so you may have noticed, like either in yourself or on sales calls, that people are just repeating an objection that they've been saying to themselves for a long time, right? Like if your default thing is, oh, I can't afford it, or I don't have time, right? Then that's going to be your default thing that you're just going to go to as soon as you feel scared, as soon as you feel any kind of resistance or hesitation to taking the next step, you're going to go to your default pattern, right? And so this is the opportunity to do a pattern interrupt. This is where we get to change that cycle. Okay, so again, earlier we talked about you really being able to expand your capacity to be with the discomfort that comes up, right? So they are going to feel discomfort come up, and you get to be with them in that discomfort, but not take it on. See, this is where the distinction is between, you know, being a leader and, you know, just being on a sales call with somebody, right? So the leader is going to continue to lead by example rather than getting sucked into the story or, you know, the gremlin or the path that they are naturally going down because that's their default. That's what they're used to, right? So you get to go get in the discomfort with them, get curious about the discomfort, right? Like get curious about it because they may have never examined their objections. They may have never examined their fears or beliefs closely. You know, they're just used to spewing them out. Okay, so you want to expand your capacity to be with the discomfort and not take it on yourself. Don't use objections as a place to stop. So, you know, there was a time when I first started doing sales calls, you know, and I was in a place of, it felt, you know, I felt like, oh, it's about me. And, you know, if they say no, then it's a no, you know, and I respect that. And that's it. And I didn't realize the real opportunity with sales calls. I didn't realize that, you know, an objection wasn't the end. That wasn't like the end of it. That once I was able to see that, you know, I could take a stand for something, that I could call something out that I see in them as an opportunity for growth for them, that's where the breakthroughs happen. That is where the breakthroughs occur. And if we stop at the objection, there will never be a breakthrough for that client. And that would be a pity, right? That would be horrible, knowing that we could have impacted the course of their life, and we didn't, because they spewed out the thing that they're used to saying all the time that always stops them from making changes. Okay, so instead, you know, what you want to do is get curious and start asking them questions. You want to, if they, you know, make an objection. So there's typically 3 kinds of main objections, right? There's the money objection, I can't afford it. There's the time objection, I don't have time. And then the other one we hear a lot is the partner objection, right? Like, I need to talk to my husband, my spouse, right? So when you're hearing one of those objections, then you just want to begin to get curious about it, right? So if it's I can't afford it, you might even say to them, have you seen this show up in other places in your life, right? Is this a common response? When you feel like you're about to have a breakthrough, or when you feel like you're about to make an investment in something that's important to you, you know, have you ever stopped yourself by saying you can't afford it? Just, you know, asking them and seeing if you can help them see a pattern that they're doing, because they could go, oh, yeah, you're right. I do that. And they may really believe that they can't afford it. And so we'll go into how, I want to go into the 3 main objections and kind of, you know, look at how we can address each one of them. But before I do that, I just want to say one more point, is that, you know, you're not convincing them of anything. This is not about you trying to convince somebody of something for themselves, right? Like, you're taking them on an exploration of what's possible. You're holding a space for their transformation, for what they say they want. They came to this call looking for support, for help. They came to the call telling you they have a problem and sharing their vision with you, right? You brainstorm ideas about how they can work through that problem, what the possible solutions are, and shown them that you can help them. So there's no convincing. This isn't about you. This isn't about you trying to sell them something, okay? This is about you helping them take a stand for themselves and say yes to what they say they want, period. If it's not a good fit, then it's a no, and that's fine, right? If it's not a good fit, you don't want to take their money. You don't want to work with this person, right? So only when it's a good fit, only when you've identified that they have a problem that you can help them with, that's when you're standing in the place of them having what they say they want. Unwavering conviction that you have for their vision and their dream, right? And that's what you're taking a stand for. And that's the place you're helping them get to a yes with. That's your job. Help them take a stand and get to a yes. And it's not about you. It's not about you. And if they are a no, if they cannot get themselves to that yes, they're not ready. They're not ready to work with you. They're not ready for what you have. And that's okay. It's not about you. It's about them and where they are, right? And so be ready, be prepared that you'll get some no's, and that some people won't be the right fit. And, you know, some people just won't be ready, you know, and that's okay. And that's okay. But can you see that if somebody is kind of like, you could tell they're ready, you could tell they want it, they've even said it, but they're just letting their objections get in the way. They're letting the idea of money or time or needing to check with their spouse get in the way of them having the transformation that they want. I mean, you guys know, like, when we're committed to something, we find a way to make it happen, don't we? When there is something, like if your car breaks down and all of a sudden you have a $1,500 bill that was unexpected, you're going to find a way to get your car fixed, aren't you? You're going to all of a sudden become resourceful because you feel like you need that car.